What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. On today's episode is Friday. We're diving into the mailbag. We got one voicemail, so we're going to dive into that. We're also going to talk about reasons for optimism as the Bears face the Green Bay Packers and what can they take advantage of in that matchup to secure a win. We'll get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans. So, still tons of excitement around here now. I do have an injury update that's not as positive. So it seems like Velus Jones was still out of practice. So as of right now, he looks doubtful for the game against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. And we know Velus Jones could be potentially a nice weapon and target for Justin Fields, especially using his speed and on special teams. And so not having him there, it does suck. We want to see Velus Jones get those reps as soon as possible so he can get going and hit the ground, get in rhythm with this offense, things like that. But it seems like he's still dealing with a nagging injury. Seems like, though, he was the only one to miss out of practice completely because of an injury. So we're getting that, well, besides the people who are on IR, obviously. But for the keyboard warriors, I want to go ahead and make sure I clarify that a little bit. But with that being said, so it seems like he's going to be out of this game unless something does drastically change. If it does, I will update you guys. But unfortunately, it looks like Velus Jones is going to miss another game with injury. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Hopefully he's able to make his debut soon and we're able to see him and he's able to make an impact like we're seeing many rookies do for the Chicago Bears. But let's go ahead and get off that. Let's get into our first voicemail. This one is from Jose Sanchez.
Hey, what's good,
he leaves
this is Jose Sanchez from Puerto Rico. I'm giving you a shout out. I also follow you on Chicago Bulls Central. But I wanted to leave a message to you today because I'm sick and tired of people demeaning the Chicago Bears because they just, feel like it. I mean, because basically, there's nothing to tell me that these guys are not, playing their heart out. And while, maybe they don't have a lot of household names, but that doesn't mean that these players aren't professional. And that's the point I wanted to get to. Because ESPN analyst, former player, Bart Scott, had the audacity to make a comment on the Chicago Bears saying that this team was barely a professional team. And to me, that's disrespectful because these players are men who get up, work hard, do what they got to do to support their families, and to put a good product on the field. Like I said before, there may not be a lot of household names on this team, but that does not make them any less professional than the other players on the other teams in the NFL. And to me, Bart Scott should be ashamed of himself because as a professional athlete that he was before, you should be able to sympathize with the players. If you don't agree with the team's makeup, you don't like the team's makeup, then fine. Nobody's forcing you to watch their games. But to imply that these guys are barely a professional team, to me, that's very disrespectful. And I hope, the Bears look at this and someone comes out and puts this guy in his place. Because, like I said, that's totally disrespectful. I took it as a disrespect, and I know these players must not like what Bart Scott said. Granted, the whole media as a whole, are barely basically putting Bears down. But to come out and imply that these guys are barely professional, that's a huge no-no for me. And that's a huge disrespect. And coming from a guy who played football before. So like I said, I just wanted to drop by, and vet myself to you on this regard. I don't know if you saw the video, but if you didn't, take a look at the video and listen to what the school is saying. Okay? So, that'll be all for now. Thank you. Keep on doing your thing, Haize, and peace.
And I knew we were going to be asked about this. Now, Jose makes a lot of great points, amazing points, actually, as far as these players are going out there, they're trying to perform, they're learning, they're doing their job. To say that the Bears are not a professional football team it's just idiotic. And one of the things that you'll see and learn a lot of this, and this is why I don't take the national media seriously, is they say a lot of things to get headlines. That he knew that him saying that was going to get snipped. It was going to get used on social media. It was going to get people reactionary. That's all that was. We know the Chicago Bears are a professional football team. There are a lot. There are teams that are worse than the Bears, and the Bears beat team. I don't want to hear nothing about monsoons, rains, or otherwise. They beat a lot of, they beat a team that many people had pegged as a Super Bowl contender. So all those comments, let them say what they're going to say. The Bears are going to continue to go out and hopefully prove these doubters wrong. Take it as another thing to write headlines on or whatever else. But this team has a collective chip on their shoulders, and this team is out to perform and to try to prove that they belong. They're trying to continue to develop and evolve and things like that. You can keep doubting the Chicago Bears all you want. Like, not Jose, but the national media can keep doubting the Chicago Bears all you want. And it's up to the Bears to continue to prove that wrong, prove that false, and continue to play and look competent out there. They played a terrible first half. They played a really solid second half. Hopefully we get a full 4 quarters of football against the Green Bay Packers this upcoming week, and then we can see what those doubters have to say. No rain. Well, it may rain a little bit in Green Bay, but it's not going to be to the level that what it was in Chicago last week. So we'll continue to see, monitor, and I think this Bears team is going to continue to prove people wrong over the course of the season. Are they going to lose some games? Yes. May they get blown out in some games? Possibly. But I think this team is going to continue to show people or prove people wrong who continue to just think that the Chicago Bears are going to be the worst team in the NFL, that they aren't competent, that you can doubt Justin Fields. I trust that this team is going to continue to prove those people wrong. And you know what? To Jose's point that, hopefully somebody speaks out against that. I don't want to see anybody on the Bears speak out against it. That's not what they're for. I want them to prove it by the way they play on the field. People who need to respond to that are people like me. People sitting here with a microphone in their home studio that's here to talk shit and defend their team. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give it honestly. I'm going to always objectively review this team and talk about the things that they do and don't do well. But at the end of the day, when you come against Chicago, this Chicago, man, like I keep saying, you can keep doubting us. We're going to keep proving you wrong. And these idiots who need to say something and use the Chicago Bears for headlines, guess what? You're using us for headlines for a reason because the eyes are on the Chicago Bears. And I'm going to leave that at that, period. All right. So that was the mailbag for today. Make sure you guys continue to get your voicemails. And if you want to be heard like Jose and like the previous people who left voicemails in as well, the number to do so is 773-242-9336. Make sure that's the best way that we can interact with you guys outside of comments on YouTube. Make sure you guys leave that there as well. But let's go ahead and move on. I wanted to talk about some of the keys for the Chicago Bears in this game against the Green Bay Packers and things that they can take advantage of. So one of the things that I want to point out is the inexperience in Green Bay's offense, passing offense specifically. Yes, they have Aaron Rodgers there. We know what Aaron Rodgers has meant to the game. We know the MVP. We know all of that. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. But when you look at this wide receiver core, over 60% of the snaps were played by rookie wide receivers in Romeo Doubs, whatever you say his name. He's a Packer. I don't give a fuck. Christian Watson playing 60% of the snaps against the Vikings. When you also look at it, the leading receiver was running back A.J. Dillon with 5 catches for 46 yards. Right now, the Green Bay Packers are trying to get in rhythm with their quarterback, kind of like we're seeing with Justin Fields and our offense in general and the receiving core. And hopefully the Bears defense can take advantage of that. When you look at our secondary, when you look at the fact that we have a nice mix of veterans and younger players there, hopefully they can continue to take advantage of that and put pressure on them and use the rookies and the inexperienced there to their advantage. Now, yes, we do have rookies in our secondary as well. And hopefully that evens out and works out in the Bears' favor. And then also one of the key things that the Bears can take advantage of is the injuries that the Packers have on the offensive line. The Bears' pass rush can make it difficult for Aaron Rodgers to even get and see the open wide receivers. Left tackle, David Bakhtiari, I don't know. He's a Packer again. I'm not learning how to say his name. He seems questionable for Sunday, and he's been the only one that's still recovering from a knee injury, things like that. So when you look at the Bears' offensive line, Elgin Jenkins and stuff, he was limited in practice after suffering a knee injury. Royce Newman, who will get the start in his place, and he struggled last week against Minnesota, and he contributed to Aaron Rodgers being sacked 4 times. The issues that the Green Bay Packers are facing on that offensive line right now is something that the Bears, like I've said, the Bears were had the most QB hits or one of the highest QB hits in the preseason and pressures on the quarterback. The Bears can take advantage of that to disrupt what Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are trying to do. And if they do that, it's going to be a long night for the Packers against this Chicago Bears defense as we try to get back to being the monsters of the Midway. Those are the things that I want to see the Bears take advantage of in that matchup against Green Bay. If they can do that and disrupt that, we know what the Packers have in their running game. We know that that's going to be one of the key matchups for in the game is how well they handle the rushing game of the Green Bay Packers. They're going to try to go to that often and early. They're definitely going to be trying to go to that. And if they can handle that well, if they can deal with that well, if they can deal with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones well, and to do what I said in that passing game, you're looking at a big night potentially for the Chicago Bears defense, and one in which they can make an emphatic statement against a marquee quarterback in this league. Yes, like I said, they got rookies in the wide receiver core. They got issues going on the offensive line, but this is the National Football League. There's always going to be some type of issues or something that you can take advantage of when you're in a matchup against the team. It's if you can win those matchups, if you can take advantage of those things and turn those into your advantage over the course of a full game, you can make that game very difficult and a very winnable game for the Chicago Bears. Am I predicting a win? You have to wait till tomorrow's episode for that when I do my prediction show. But outside of that, I do think the Bears can take advantage of that. Other things to look for in this game against the Green Bay Packers, this time in favor of our offense. Darnell Mooney did not get off to a good start last week. He was almost a non-factor in the victory against the 49ers, what we need to see from them. I think Luke Getsy is going to get him involved in the game a little bit more. I'm looking at Darnell Mooney to have a big game against the Green Bay Packers to make a statement there. I'm looking for this wide receiver core overall. You look at Equanimeous St. Brown facing his former team. I'm looking at them to make improvements in that area of the game. And if they can, if this passing offense can get going early rather than late, and we can stop the Green Bay Packers passing offense as well, not even to mention our rushing. We didn't get very much from David Montgomery last week at all. If we can get these things going early and often, then we can definitely take advantage of that. And one of the key things to be able to do that is that offensive line. Braxton Jones, again, he's going to be attacked early and often. But looking at what he can do, I do think that he's going to step up big as a rookie for the Chicago Bears, and he's going to have a big game. I think if he can protect and not give up any sacks, we're looking at a completely different game, especially first half for the Chicago Bears. Now, let's also leave out defensive rookies as well, and Jaquan Brisker and Dominique Robinson. I already mentioned, like the rookies Ryan Poles has done a better job than what some people give credit for. But if they can continue to play well, right? If they cannot be nullified, if they can play very well, and Dominique Robinson is being an X factor, comes in and plays well, and Kyler Gordon, how many turnovers can the Chicago Bears team force against the Green Bay Packers? We got some key turnovers when we needed them. We got some key stops when we needed them against the 49ers. If we can do that same thing against this Green Bay Packers team while they're still trying to get their shit together, you're looking at a very winnable game for the Chicago Bears. Let me know what you guys think about all that down below. Let me know who do you think steps up. We're going to start doing Rookie Watch on this show as well. Don't be surprised when we start doing that, checking in on how the rookies have performed and play. You got a lot of rookies playing a lot of snaps for the Chicago Bears this season, and they've been playing pretty well as well. So we'll see how this continue to grow and develop for the Chicago Bears, but I'm very optimistic for us against this game against the Green Bay Packers. Bart Scott, another hate aside, Mike Martz, nobody gives a damn what you got to say. I don't care what none of them got to say. The Bears are going to show it on the field, and what they show on that field is going to be the most important thing in this game. And hopefully, just hopefully, we can get our first win against Green Bay since 2018. But that is it for me for today. Make sure you're following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text and or voicemail, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, especially when it comes to daily content. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.